All right, y'all. It is time to shine. It is time to shine. Welcome back to another very special episode of the Run the Jewelz vidcast and podcast series and show. I am your host, King Jewelz, Julian Smartrimple here. We are locked and loaded, ready for another episode for this season, RTJ. If this is your first time joining us, you are now one of our Smart Jewel listeners. Shout out to all of our Smart Jewels that have been rocking with us throughout this current season that we are in. But if this is your first time joining us, we welcome you to the RTJ show. The RTJ lifestyle show was created to spread inspiration to young professionals and millennial entrepreneurs who want to learn how to shine careers or even in their business. And so if you are a young professional, shout out to all of our young professionals watching us. If you're an entrepreneur, we always give big ups to our business owners and entrepreneurs. If you are a millennial, a Gen Zer, or even a baby boomer, we still have love for the baby boomers out there. Welcome to the RTJ show. You're definitely going to be hearing a lot of jewels of wisdom from my very special VIP guest. And so stay tuned. If you are interested in being a future guest on the RTJ show, we're only looking for the best of the best. If you are a dynamic king or a queen that has a phenomenal testimony, if you are an entrepreneur or business owner that is trailblazing and definitely doing some major work in your career or industry that you work in or that your business is in, feel free to click the link we're putting in the comment section below to have our team comb through your data to see if you have what it takes to be one of our upcoming guests on our next season's episodes. You could also catch all of our previous episodes for RTJ on any podcast streaming platform that you listen to your favorite music artist or your favorite podcast on. Just search for the Run the Jewelz podcast and you'll see my face on the cover art with the Run the Jewelz podcast show. And you could also catch us on Wisdom and also on Twitter Spaces to get exclusive access to our behind-the-scenes live Q&A sessions. These are live Q&A sessions of our recordings for the episode, and you can ask our guests questions. You can come onto the stage and talk with our guests. And so shout out to all of our Wisdom and Twitter Space listeners that are out there. Also, if at any time you have any questions, even if you're watching us on the live stream or watching or listening to us on the live Q&A, feel free again to put any questions in the comment section below and we'll do our best to get to them. Those are all of my housekeeping for today. Shout out to our VIP affiliate partner, which goes by the name of StreamYard. StreamYard is the platform that we stream from for all of our episodes. You can definitely click the link that we're putting in the comment section right now to get $10 off at a discounted price rate when you join one of their subscription packages. And so we stream on all different platforms: YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and eventually they're going to open it up to Instagram. And so shout out to our VIP affiliate partner, StreamYard, who we are streaming with today. And click the link below to get $10 off when you sign up for one of their current packages that they offer. And so those are all of my housekeeping for today. We are locked and loaded for another very special episode. We're about to get ready to go into Q&A, but the title of today's episode is How to Get Approved with your first time for a home loan. And so we're going to be talking about how to get approved the first time for a home loan for all of those potential home buyers out there, or even if you are purchasing an investment property for the first time. We're going to be talking about how you can get approved quickly and also efficiently, and not have to apply multiple times for your first time home loan. And so you're in for a treat. We're going to be talking to a professional that works in this real estate industry. He's actually a veteran. He's a father, and he's also definitely a traveler. We're going to be talking to him even about his travelers from all over the continent as we go through today's episode. But of course, we're going to start first with the real estate, because we need to know how to get our real estate homeowners prepared to, again, successfully acquire their first property. And so if you are tuning in, we're going to be bringing on my very special VIP guest, Mr. Frederick Middlebrooks, who is actually an attendee. I met this king at one of our men's breakfasts at our church that we go to here in Midtown Atlanta. Shout out to Victory Midtown, Pastor Bo and Kendra, a part of the Victory church family here in Georgia. But we met each other at a men's breakfast, and we got to talking, and I told this king definitely wanted to interview him for our podcast to talk about his industry and also his travel experiences. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the king, Mr. Frederick Middlebrooks himself. Frederick, how you feeling today, King?
Feeling great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely, man. We thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to run the Jewelz with us today, King. What we always start off with on each of our episodes, like for those who may not know you, Frederick, but they will know you after today, like tell us where you're from, your hometown, where you currently are streaming with us today, and then why is this an important subject for you to discuss with our audience?
Sure. So I am born and raised in Atlanta. I actually grew up more specifically in East Point, which is about 8 minutes outside of downtown Atlanta. So from Atlanta originally, born and raised, and currently streaming from Stockbridge, Georgia. So kind of did a lot of traveling, as we'll get into a little bit later, all around the world, and then made my way back to Georgia, living in Stockbridge, Georgia, a little bit further outside Atlanta, about 35 minutes outside. And I believe that this topic is important because purchasing a home is something that's going to be, for most people, the biggest purchase of their life. And that is something that people need to be prepared for, that they need to be educated on, so that they can make smart, informed decisions to help build wealth, build legacy, and just live a better quality life.
Absolutely. And we definitely know how important that home buying process is, especially here in Georgia, a very popular location for real estate and also investment properties. And so shout out to all of the real estate owners and even the real estate investors that are out there. You are in for a treat. You're going to be hearing from a real estate professional that works currently in the industry and is going to be giving us some of his perspective on what he's seen, the best practices, and even some of the hurdles that some of his clients have had to go throughout the home buying process. And so, Wisdom listeners, again, if you have any questions for my very special VIP guests, feel free to ask and come onto the stage at any time of the interview today. Don't be shy. We're about to start our live Q&A session right now, but at any time, feel free to come onto the stage and ask Frederick any questions you have on today's subject: how to get approved the first time for a home loan. And so, Frederick, let's start from the beginning, King. Like, I know you're a veteran. We thank you for your service, and shout out to all of the veterans that are listening on today's podcast episode. But like, how did you, how did you even get into real estate? And tell us about, like, what was your service that you worked in as a veteran, even before you went into this field too, for people to know.
Absolutely. So I would like to say I was born into it. My father was a real estate agent and then became a real estate broker and owned his own company. He is still selling real estate, over 42 years in the business. So my dad has been doing it longer than I've been on this earth. So that is my introduction that I originally got to real estate. My mom has also been a licensed real estate agent / broker for 25 plus years. So again, I'd like to say it was, you know, more in my blood or I was born into it, but that's how I got my introduction to it. So as every kid who does not want to follow in their parents' footsteps, I chose to have a little bit of a detour with, you know, trying some other things. I was in high school, like maybe I want to be an architect. Studied that and realized it's not for me. And decided to go off to college. I was like, I want to be a music producer. And I really do enjoy music. I still have a love for music, but music production didn't tug on my heart in terms of me feeling led to continue down that path. So after music production, it was film production, which is still a huge passion of mine. But the thing that kept calling me back was real estate. And it's like, no matter how far you try to run, that whole thing, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, kind of panned out to be true, at least in my case, because I came back to real estate and I just have a love and a passion for it. So I got into real estate. Well, I guess to back up a little bit, what I did before real estate, I did join the Navy before real estate, and I did work in video production and film production before real estate as well. After I got out of college, I did a lot of freelance video production and film production work for a couple years, then joined the Navy, served in the Navy for 7 years, toured the world, and then got out of the Navy and came right back to real estate. So got my real estate license actually when I was in college back in 2007. So I've been a licensed real estate agent since then. And then more recently became licensed as a loan officer because I enjoy the financing part of the business. So doing mortgage loans and originating mortgage loans, helping people to get the financing they need to purchase those homes really is something that tugged on my heartstrings, I guess you could say. I was more passionate about more so than being a real estate agent. So that's kind of how I got the start and got into real estate and bringing me where I'm at now, which is still a licensed real estate agent, but also a licensed loan officer, which is where I spend most of my time.
Absolutely. Shout out to all of the loan officers and also the brokers and real estate agents. And even like stay with that point right there too, King, because I know some of the people that may be listening or even watching us for this episode today, there are a lot of key players when it does come to basically purchasing a home or purchasing an investment property. And like I know you've worked, as you mentioned, as an agent, and now you're a loan officer. Like, tell us, what is the difference between like a real estate agent, even a loan officer, and then even for those that may have to deal with even a broker? Like, what are those three key roles, and like how do they play a winning formula in people being able to acquire real estate successfully?
Absolutely. So with the real estate agent, their job is to help you find the property that fits your criteria and your qualifications for you being able to purchase a home. So let's say that if you're qualified for a home that's $200,000, $300,000, and you're looking for something that's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, that real estate agent's job is to help you find the home that you want. And then after you find that home that fits within your price range that you want, then their job is to negotiate the contract for you. And they work with the seller's agent or the listing agent to help negotiate the terms of that agreement, what the purchase price is going to be, who's going to help out with closing costs and things like that. And then after the contract is set and you're in a binding agreement, then that real estate agent's job becomes to make sure that you meet all of your deadlines. They help you get the inspection for the property to make sure that that property is in safe, sound condition prior to you actually closing on that loan. And after helping you with the home inspection, they help you to facilitate navigating the rest of the loan process. So the loan officer will help you with a lot of that as well, but a real estate agent will be there to make sure that, okay, financing happens when it needs to happen according to when your financing contingency period is. So there's a lot of terminology is thrown in it, but basically the real estate agent is going to be there with you through the entire process, from when you're trying to find a home all the way up until sitting right beside you when you're closing on that home, signing the paperwork. So they help you find the home, they help you negotiate the contract, and then they help you to navigate your way through the contract. The loan officer, their entire job is just financing the purchase of that home. And so as a loan officer, my job is to look at your income. So I'm looking at people's W-2s. I'm looking at your tax returns, looking at people's debt. So when I pull your credit report, I'm looking at what debts are listed on that credit report. I might be looking at your car payments, student loans, credit cards, personal loans, if you have any personal loans. And I look at your credit score. I also look at your bank statements because, as a lot of people may know, when you go to close on a home, there are costs associated, such as down payment and closing costs. And I look at your bank statement to see if you have the money to be able to cover those costs associated with closing on a loan. So as a loan officer, 98% of my job is centered around your financial picture. And are you going to be, how much you can qualify for, if you can qualify, and seeing what we can do in terms of how much you can qualify for. So I will, after looking at your income that you make, I also look at your debt that you have, which I'll take from your credit report. And it's a balancing act with a loan officer. We look at your debt and we subtract your debt from your income to determine how much you can actually afford to pay in a monthly payment. And so that's where your qualification amount comes from. So it's a lot more numbers, a lot more math that's involved in being a loan officer, because you're doing a lot of calculations with tax returns or W-2s and pay stubs and things like that to see where people qualify at. And then, so my whole job, really from the start, as early as or earlier than when you actually start with the real estate agent, is to look at your picture, because before you go shopping for a house with a real estate agent, you really want to be pre-approved by a loan officer. The reason is because when you go out house shopping, you don't know how much home you qualify for until a loan officer has looked at your situation and can tell you, you qualify for a $250,000 home. You qualify for a $300,000 home. Otherwise, you're just spending time window shopping, but you can't submit any offers until you get that pre-approval letter from a loan officer. So I like to say that a loan officer should be people's first stop, even though a lot of people do go to the real estate agent. And that's okay, because a lot of real estate agents know good loan officers that can help them get pre-approved to be able to purchase a home. But as a loan officer, I'm focused on looking at your income, your debt, your credit score, and your assets to determine what it is that you actually qualify for, or if you qualify. And from that point, if you qualify, I write you a pre-approval letter. You get on with a real estate agent, go house hunting, get that home that you love under contract. And then from that point, we are working to get you closed and get the financing done. So,
absolutely. Y'all are hearing firsthand from, again, my very special guest, Frederick Middlebrooks, who's dropping a ton of jewels already for our Q&A session. He's talking to us about why you need to start getting familiar with the loan officer, just as much as you may, again, be in a fantasizing lane of getting the real estate agent on your team first. You're eventually, as he mentioned, going to have to go through the loan officer to get that pre-approval letter. And so why not start with them first, especially if you are interested in finding out how much you can get approved for. And so we're going to let you real quick, King, get a quick commercial break while we honor our VIP sponsor for today's episode. Each and every episode, you all, we highlight a VIP sponsor for all of our podcast episodes of a business or a partnership, affiliate partner that we partner with for all of our episodes to be a success. And so let's take a look and see who our VIP sponsor is for today, you all. Let's take a look. So shout out again to our VIP sponsor for today, which comes from none other than Delta Community Credit Union. Our affiliate partner for today comes from Delta Community Credit Union. You can visit the link that we're putting in the comment section below to receive $50 into your account as a reward when you sign up for a Delta Community Credit Union account. We use credit unions a lot with our clients and also with our team members here in Georgia. This is only one of our community credit unions that we support, but we always have great favor in going through Delta Community Credit Union. And again, who does not like getting free money for an account? And so shout out to Delta Community Credit Union. Receive $50 plus rewards when you sign up today with the link that we're putting in the comment section below. But shout out to Delta Community Credit Union. But back to you, King. We definitely wanted to give a quick honor to our VIP affiliate partner for today. But I know when we first met and we were talking about how much money people literally throw away from getting denied with certain loans that they are wanting to, of course, acquire for real estate or their first home because they don't know the process. Like talk to people just like you were mentioning about like how much you see individuals literally throwing away or wasting because they didn't take time to learn the official steps in the process of pre-approval so that they do not get denied when they are applying for that home loan. But talk to people about the ins and outs so they can get behind the scenes, look at what you see on your approval or denial sheet when it comes to your clients.
Sure. So a lot of the reasons, or I would say a lot of the big reason that people get denied when they're trying to get approved for a home loan is credit score. I would say that's probably the number one reason is that people have a credit score that is low. And to be honest, it's something that we should learn a lot more of in school. And I say I'm a product of the Georgia school system. But I'm pretty sure Georgia's not the only state that has, a deficiency in teaching financial literacy. So it's something that we need to have a lot more education on. So a lot of people don't know what you don't know. You don't know when you get out of high school and you take on a whole bunch of student loans that's going to affect you being able to purchase a home later on when you've got all this debt that we as loan officers have to calculate into your debt to income ratio. You might not know when you get a credit card how it's affecting you if you happen to miss a payment. It might seem small in the interim, but when you go to get applied for a home loan and I'm looking at, you've got missed 30-day, 60-day, 90-day late payments, that affects your credit score. And that also makes you look like a little bit more of a risk in terms of being able to pay back this mortgage, or if you have missed car payments or you've got late payments that have been past due. And so I would say one of the big things is credit score that tends to prevent people from being able to purchase a home. Is just because they're not doing the right things to build their credit score. Another thing that does tend to hinder people from being able to purchase homes is their debt to income ratio. I've seen some people that have good income, but they also have a lot of debt, and we cannot approve you for a loan if you have too much debt. So 50% debt to income ratio is about where you want to be at. And what that means is, let's say if you made, to keep the numbers simple, let's say if you made $10,000 a month, if 5,000 of that 10,000 goes toward paying out student loans, credit cards, car payments, personal loans, and a mortgage, then half of your income goes to paying out debt and we consider that in the mortgage industry a 50% debt to income ratio. So with 50%, you're about where you want to be. You really don't want to be higher than that. You can be with certain loan products, but ideally you want to try to stay under that 50% mark. But a lot of times I run into individuals where 60% of their income, 70% of their income goes toward paying out debts that are listed on the credit report. And when your debt to income ratio is that high, we can't qualify you for a mortgage. For example, if you're at a 50% debt to income ratio before the mortgage, then once we add the mortgage to that, that's going to kick you up above that 50% mark. And it's going to be a lot harder, if not impossible, to be able to qualify you for a loan. So having a high debt to income ratio is something that prevents a lot of people from being able to purchase. And with that, I always recommend to people, keep your debts paid on time first and foremost. That's something that's going to help your credit score, which I'll get into in a minute. But keeping your debts paid on time and paying down any debts that you're able to pay down. Keep those credit cards paid down. If you're able to pay off some of your installment debts, that's something that may be of benefit to you as well, depending upon what your purchasing timeline is. But having low debt in terms of just in general, student loans, credit cards, car payments, and personal loans. And the reason I keep harping on those four things are because all of your debts do not show up on a credit report. Your cell phone bill, your utilities, your insurance, your internet or your Netflix or streaming services, that stuff does not show up on a credit report. So we don't calculate any of those debts. We don't calculate how much your utility bill is or your gas bill or your grocery bill. We are just looking at the debts that show up on the credit report, which typically center around student loans, credit cards, car payment, and personal loans. And of course, if you have a mortgage, that would show up on your credit report as well. Outside of those things, we won't see too much that'll show up. If you have a timeshare, that would show up. Just a quick note, don't ever get a timeshare. That is one of the pains of so many people that have timeshares. I have not heard anyone to date that has gotten a timeshare and been like, I'm so glad I got this timeshare. Everyone that has gotten a timeshare, they absolutely wish they had made a different decision. So definitely stay away from timeshares. They try to sell you on all the perks and they try to sell you on the freebies that they're going to give away. We'll give you a free trip to Hawaii. And I was this close to getting a timeshare. So glad I didn't get that timeshare. That free trip that they promised me never even happened. Just for sitting through the presentation, I was supposed to get a free trip, and that trip never even happened. They wouldn't even give it to me. So timeshares are a complete waste. Stay far, far away. And lastly, I did want to mention how you can improve your credit score, because that's one thing that can really help set you up for success when it comes to purchasing a home. Number one, keep your credit card balances below 30% of the outstanding limit. If you can keep it below 10%, that's even better, but below 30% of the outstanding limit. So for example, if you have a credit card with $1,000 limit, keep it at $300 or less, and that will help build your credit. When you have a credit card that's maxed out, that is a hit on your credit because it's showing that you're depending on that to live, you're pretty much for your quality of life or to live the life that you currently live right now. And your credit cards are not meant to be a source of revenue that you need to lean on in order to sustain your way of living or the standard of life that you live. They're supposed to be used when you need them for emergencies, perhaps. But if your credit cards are always maxed out, that is going to hurt your credit score. If your credit cards are charged above the credit limit, then you're getting hurt twice. Once because you're charged above the limit that you're supposed to go on, and two, because your credit card is maxed out. So you want to keep those credit cards below 30%, 10% is better. Now, if you do happen to charge it above the limit, know when that credit card is going to report to the bureaus, and you can find out that information by going through the company that your credit card is assigned to. But knowing when your credit card is going to report to the bureau is important, because if you happen to charge it above, as long as you pay it down below that 30% mark before it actually gets reported to the credit bureaus, you're still in the clear. So credit cards is number one. Number two, having a diverse credit, meaning if you have a credit card, but if you also have like an installment loan, such as like a car payment or a personal loan. Personal loans tend to come with higher interest rates, but there are some other ways that you can build credit with, again, having a car payment, or if you self-report some items that don't normally show up on your credit report, that's some things that can also help your credit score. So those are just a couple. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, King. You was out there teaching. Yeah, keep rolling.
No, so yeah, it's those are just a couple of things that can help your credit score in terms of self-reporting a couple items that, let's say if you make on-time cell phone payments, you make on-time utility bill payments, those are things that you're making on time all the time anyway, so why not have it benefit you? There is a charge for self-reporting because you as an individual cannot self-report directly to the three credit bureaus, which are TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. You have to go through a company that in turn reports to the credit bureaus for you. So there are a bunch of different companies that'll do this for you. But if you Google, self-reporting to the credit bureaus, you'll see a list of some companies that you can utilize, and the cost can range from $10 a month to $50 a year. It just all depends on who you go with. But what you would do then is supply that company with your payment history of your cell phone bill or your utility bill or your internet bill. And that company says, okay, you've got one-time payments for all these things. And they self-report those payments to your credit report or to the credit bureaus for you. And then the credit bureaus report all of those on-time payments that you've been making. And that helps to build your credit score higher with something that you're already doing anyways, because those are the items that normally do not get reported to the credit bureaus, but you can pay a little fee and have those self-reported if it's something that you need to utilize to build your credit score. So a few of the tips and tricks that are out there. Another one I'll give you, becoming a authorized user is something that can really help build your credit score. And as far as being an authorized user, what that means basically is that if you know someone who has a credit card with a long history on it and a good payment history, and they keep the balance low, that individual can add you as a authorized user for that credit card. And what that does then is it will transfer all of that good payment history over to your credit profile. So if that person's had this credit card for the last 10 years, they keep the balance low, they always pay it off all the time and everything, they add you as an authorized user, and that transfers all of that 10 years worth of history goes over to your credit report. And it's just as if you had that card for 10 years with a good pay history. And that's something that can really boost your credit scores. I've seen parents that use that method to help out their children. They will add them as an authorized user. They won't give their children the credit card. They won't even give their children the account number for the credit card because they don't want their children even having access to that account, but they do want to help their children with being able to build their credit so that their children can have a leg up and being able to purchase that home. And so they will add them as an authorized user. And once they get that home that they want or whatever it is that they're trying to get financing for, then they remove their kid as an authorized user, because that's not something that sticks permanently. You can add someone as an authorized user, but you can remove them as an authorized user. So a lot of people use that as a little trick to help people boost their credit scores up to be able to get qualified for a home. And after they purchase that home, they remove them as an authorized user. But hey, you've got the house now. So it's another method or tool that you can use to be able to help someone or be helped yourself into getting a home by boosting your credit scores up to where they need to be.
Yeah, that's a ton of jewels right there, King, that you dropping on them, giving them all the sauce, all the tips, and all the jewels when it comes to finding the best practice to get that home loan, especially for first-time home buyers. If you are just listening and tuning in, I'm here with my very special VIP guest, Frederick Middlebrooks, who is talking to us about the loan process of how to get approved the first time for a home loan. If you are someone who is interested in purchasing your first home or even purchasing investment properties, we are talking about the process of him being a loan officer, of what he sees and what is the best practices and the not so good practices that people follow in order to get approved the first time for your home loan. And so, wisdom listeners, if you're listening and want to ask my very special VIP guest, Frederick, any questions when it comes to your particular situation with your home loan process, or even if you want to comment on anything that we have discussed thus far for his episode, feel free to come onto the stage. We do have live Q&A for our podcast episodes to help out our live audience on Wisdom and Twitter Spaces. And so feel free to come onto the stage and ask any questions or comments of what you want Frederick to answer. But I definitely, King, I wanted you to touch on real quick while we see if we have any guests that want to come on. Like, we talk about this a lot in the financial community of being basically in like a financial coach or financial freedom coach is what we call ourselves, in teaching people how to get out of debt. And so, like, when it comes to the debt to income ratio, for those people who may not have that type of literacy yet when it comes to financial literacy, what is debt to income ratio? And also, how do you factor in your own debt to income ratio before you even take it to the bank, which is, of course, to acquire a property or get assets or loans or things of that nature for assets?
So your debt to income ratio is the ratio between how much income you make to how much debt that you have is subtracted from that income. So the way that we calculate debt to income ratio, we take the total of your income and let's say we divide that in half. So immediately we're at 50% of your income. So if you make $10,000 a month, or let's stick with something like, let's say $5,000 a month. If you make $5,000 a month, we immediately take half of that. And now you're at $2,500 a month, which is 50% of your income. And from that, we start subtracting out all of your debts. So we subtract out your credit card payments, your minimum credit card payments that you have to make. We subtract out your student loans, your credit card, your car payments. We subtract out whatever debts show up on the credit report. And what's left over is the amount that we can utilize to qualify you for a mortgage. So let's say that, again, you make $5,000 a month. We cut it in half. Now you're at $2,500 a month. Now, let's say you have a $500 car payment. Now we're down to $2,000 a month. Now, let's say that you have another $200 that you pay toward credit card bills every month. Now we go from $2,000 down to $1,800. Now, let's say you've got $50,000 worth of student loans. And you're like, well, my student loans are in deferment. If there's a minimum payment listed, we have to go based off that minimum payment. But if your loans are in deferment and there's no payment listed for your student loans, we have to take 0.5% of the outstanding balance of the loan. So we're at $1,800 and you've got $50,000 worth of student loans. Well, 0.5% of $50,000 is $250. So we have to subtract another $250 from that $1,800. That brings us down to $1,550. Is that right? No. Yeah, $1,550. So if you have no other debts, then $1,550 is what we can work with in terms of qualifying you for a mortgage, assuming that you have good credit, meaning that your credit score is good. So for an FHA loan, the minimum credit score is you want to be above a 580. For a conventional mortgage, you want to be above a 620. Ideally, you want to be in the 700s or the 800s. But the higher you can get, the better. But at a low end, 580 or 620. And one thing I'll say really quickly about credit score, the credit score we use in the mortgage industry is the FICO score. This is different than what you will see on Credit Karma. This is different than what you will see in Experian. They use the Vantage scoring model, which is something that the credit bureaus created. Experian, one of them that helped create that. It's a different scoring model. So when people come to us and we're like, oh, this is what your credit score is, they're like, well, I just checked Credit Karma. We don't use the same scoring model Credit Karma uses. It's a different scoring model. So that's how the debt to income ratio works. And if we, so when you subtract out all of those debts, we cut your income in half and we start subtracting out those debts. And we're like, okay, we've got $1,550 to work with. What does that mean for your qualification? We look at how much monthly payment can you afford for $1,550? Can you go and purchase a $300,000 home? It depends. We look at how much the principal and interest is and what the interest rate is, and we determine from that, okay, what you can purchase. So that helps give you an idea of how your debt really affects your income. And to do one last little plug, buy the house before you buy the car if you can afford to buy the house first. If you can take a cheaper car or get a used car and pay cash for it, do that first, because a $400 car payment can cost you $70,000 worth of purchasing power. I don't have a ton of time to go into how the numbers work out, but because of how your debt to income is calculated, let's say, for example, you can purchase a $300,000 house and you're at a 50% debt to income ratio. Well, if you added a $400 car payment, that might move your debt to income from 50% up to, let's say it moves it up to 60%. Or 58%. So to get you back to a 50, we have to drop the purchase price of the home from $300,000 down to like $230,000. Well, now you just took a $70,000 hit just to get back to the 50% debt to income ratio, and that's how a $400 car payment can cost you $70,000 in terms of you being able to purchase a home. So if by any means you can purchase a used car, pay cash, and not have a car note for that, that is going to be much better when it comes to you being able to qualify for a nicer home. So debt really plays a huge factor in you being able to qualify for that home.
Absolutely. So y'all who are listening, any of our smart jewels, definitely take care of that debt. We know that we're hearing a lot about, of course, Biden's student loan bill that has continued to not get approved through the channels. And so if you're literally planning on the government taking care of your debt, you got another thing coming. You must be smoking or drinking or living in a fantasy world. You need to take care of your own debt and not rely on the government to do it for you. And so like you're hearing from, again, a real estate professional who's a loan officer, you got to get that debt to income ratio under wraps and in order. And so, King, I know before we let you go out of here, again, wisdom listeners, if you want to ask Frederick anything with our final moments of our live Q&A, feel free to come on. But I know I wanted you to talk about, man, you're a traveler. I know we were discussing this when we first met. You've been all over, but specifically we were speaking about your travels to the motherland. And so, like, talk to us about, like, even from seeing the globe and seeing different countries, especially with their real estate industry, like how has traveling abroad and being in those environments helped you in your current position, especially here in the US, and being in the real estate industry? And tell us where are some of the places you traveled to and where are some of your favorite places that you traveled?
So I have been fortunate to be able to travel the world and served in the Navy as well. If I could do it all over again, I would do it the same way. I take nothing back. I enjoyed my time in. I have been to Guam, which is just a little bit further past Hawaii if you were traveling west. And I've also traveled all throughout Europe. I've traveled through about 15 different countries in Europe, 5 different countries in Africa, a couple different countries in the Middle East. I will say the favorite place that I've probably been is the Seychelles. If those of you who don't know, it's a tropical island off the east coast of Africa. it is a beautiful, beautiful place if you ever have an opportunity to go. But one of the things that traveling really did is it opened my eyes to different cultures, different way of life, and you gain an appreciation for other people and how they're living in all the different circumstances. So when you're in Europe and you might be visiting France and see how the French are living, or you might be visiting Croatia, or I lived in Italy for 3 years. So seeing how the Italians live in different parts of Italy, because it's all different. But then you go to a place like Madagascar, which is very impoverished, and there's a lot of poverty there, and you see how they're living, but you meet some really happy people, and you really gain an appreciation for some of the things that other people have to do just to survive from day to day. But also, you stop taking so much for granted in terms of all of the things that we're able to have the opportunity, or that we have afforded to us as Americans. And so I will say it really opened my eyes to just the state of the world and how different it is from place to place, and how easily you can have a small picture or a small view mindset when you stay just within the four walls, so to speak, of the U.S. without traveling abroad. I highly recommend to anybody who gets the opportunity to go to Africa. Go. Is a beautiful country, beautiful people, and yeah, I just highly recommend it.
Absolutely. So you heard it first. He's not just a real estate professional. He's a veteran and also a traveler. He definitely travels the globe, and so he has a global mindset and perspective when it comes to real estate, and also the real estate industry. And so shout out to all of our smart travel jewels, or smart jewel travelers that are out there listening. We definitely got to go and see this big and beautiful world. But King, we've reached our final stop of today's interview, which is what we call the final jewel segment. We know that you've dropped a ton of jewels already on our audience, from all of the tips and best practices, and how to acquire your first time home loan, or even if you're an investor, to acquire a home loan successful. But we talked about your industry. We talked about your veteran position in working with the Navy, and we talked about literally some of the things that you need to do before even coming to see you as a loan officer. What would be a final jewel that you want to leave with the audience, King, before we let you go? What would be that final jewel that you want to drop on the audience today?
2 words: no excuses. The people that I see that succeed the most are the people that don't make excuses for why they are where they are, or why they can't get to where they want to be. So don't make any excuses. Regardless of where you're at financially right now, you can get to where you want to be. If you want to travel the world, regardless of you coming from a family that's always been in whatever area or town you're from, if you want to travel the world, the opportunities out there. Don't make excuses. There is a way to get you to where you want to be. Just continue to fight for it. So no excuses.
I love that. No excuses, y'all. That's an excellent way to end our episode for today. But before we let you go, King, and we say a special prayer over you for thanking you for your time, how can people get in touch with you? How can they stay in contact with you after today? If they want to consult with you, if they want to ask you some follow-up questions, what are some ways that people can stay in touch with you after today?
So I am not too difficult to find, but GA Loan Officer on Instagram and TikTok. So at GA Loan Officer on Instagram and on TikTok. My website is also galoanofficer.com. So you can find me on at my website or on Instagram and TikTok. I'm also on LinkedIn, Frederick Middlebrooks, just my name on LinkedIn. So that's where I'm most active and where you can get connected with me if you need some information, if you have questions, or you just want to check out some of the content that I'm putting out. That's where you can find it.
Absolutely. So y'all heard it first from Frederick. You can definitely stay connected with him on all of the social media platforms that he just mentioned. And if you have any questions, you want to follow up with a very he's in the community, y'all. I forgot to mention he's not like those stiff-necked loan officers that you may see that are literally not individuals that can talk to you and actually let you know the things that you need to do for your personal situation in order to get approved. And so you will want to stay in touch with Frederick and all that he is doing in the community to help build up individuals' financial education to acquire assets and property like real estate. But King, before we let you go, we definitely want to say a quick prayer over you for thanking you for your time. If you have been still listening to us, and if you have been blessed by all the jewels of wisdom Frederick has been dropping, feel free to sow a seed with us. There's 3 ways to sow. You can, for one, Cash App a donation to our podcast at $SMART, SMART, JEWELZ, or you can click the link that we're putting in the comment section to become one of our local Patreons, or you can purchase some of our new merchandise that we just launched last season with our Shine, Create, and also Pray collection that we just launched last season. And so definitely feel free to sow a seed into good soil. And also we thank you all for listening for today's episode. But Frederick, we're going to say a quick prayer over you, King, and then let you enjoy the rest of your evening, if that's all right.
All right.
Perfect. Father, I just want to thank you for Frederick. I thank you for all that you are doing in his and his family's life. We thank you for him being a father, for him being a leader, and also for him being a man of the people, to just share with those in the community that are trying to better their financial education in order to invest in real estate, invest in property and assets so that they can pass down generational wealth. And we thank you even for the good family stock that he comes from his parents teaching him great financial education in the real estate industry. And we pray that he will continue to guide others and even continue to be blessed with even more clients, more business clients, even for his own business endeavors, and even more opportunities to speak and share his knowledge and wisdom with other platforms and also other organizations and businesses. We pray that you will bless him 100-fold for coming on this evening, and bless he and his family, cover he and his family as they go throughout the rest of this month. And I love you, Abba. I praise you. I glorify you and give you all the praise and honor and glory. And it's in Jesus, Yeshua's name, I give praise and thanks. Amen.
Amen.
We pray. We thank you, King, for taking the time out of your schedule, man. We'll definitely be in touch, and you enjoy the rest of your evening. And we thank you for coming on today to drop the jewels with us.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, King. You enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll talk soon, bro. Peace.
Have a good one.
All right, man. All right, y'all. You heard it first from my very special VIP guest, Frederick Middlebrooks, talking to us about how to not waste that money, you all. We cannot continue to throw away our money because of our lack of financial education. We talk about 3 main subjects for the RTJ show: personal development, number 1, financial education, number 2, and then health and wellness, number 3. But financial education and also health and wellness are both very important in order to have the right type of lifestyle plan, the right life plan for you and your family, or even if you don't have children, for your community or your friends that are around you, because there is no excuse in this day and age to not have the right financial education. There's so many resources, from podcasts to YouTube video for content influencers that are in the financial space. And so if you are choosing to stay ignorant when it comes to your financial education, then there is no excuse. Just like you heard Frederick say, and we always say that on the show, if you want something bad enough, you're going to research it. If you want to achieve something bad enough, you're going to follow through and do what needs to be done in order to attain or acquire that goal or that dream. And so stop talking about it. Let's be about it and walk it out this year in this season. And definitely you can stay in contact with us I'm going to just do some quick follow-ups on what we have going on for our Smart Travel Jewelz and also Smart Jewelz Enterprises activities that we have coming up for this year. And so let's take a look at some of the stuff that we have that are brewing for the rest of this season, you all. And thank you all for our Smart Jewelz that have been listening. But if you need any media tech help, or if you need any media consulting, we do partner with Smart Jewelz Enterprises that powers the RTJ show. But we have Smart Media Essentials. We have podcast show creation services. If you're looking to start your first pod, whether it's a visual pod or an audio only pod, if you need online conference services for those who are doing online conferences and you need tech support or technical assistance for your business or for your church, we have what you need. Also, virtual classroom solutions, webinar and workshop hosting, and customized branding, consulting, and marketing. Definitely check out www.smartjewelz enterprises.org. That's www.smartjewelzenterprises.org to sign up for a free discovery session with one of our consultants that will be able to direct any of your needs. Also, you heard me speak about ways you can support us. We just dropped last season our new Create, Shine, and Pray collections. And so you definitely can support us with some of our hoodies, our tees, our even king, queen, crown bracelets that we have so that you can shine bright with us this season. And so feel free to take a look at the link that we're putting in the comment section below right now to partner with us with some of our merch. And finally, you can catch us on any podcast streaming platform. You heard me say at the beginning that we are on all podcasts and music streaming platforms. Just search for the Run the Jewelz podcast that you see on the screen, and you'll see the cover art. You can listen to all of our episodes from season 1 all the way now to season 6, you all. We're already in our 6th season. We've been putting out episodes each and every year. And so take a look and listen to see our progress from all the way at our beginnings now to we are traveling. We are taking our show on the road. We have a ton of things in store this season, but you got to stay connected with us. Again, you can get started with your podcast today or your content creation today by visiting www.smartjewelzenterprises.org. And again, feel free to check out some of our merch that we have that we just recently launched this last season to partner with us. But those are all of my jewels for thought. Shine bright like the bright diamond jewel you've been created to be, because someone that is with you or around you needs to see and also needs to feel the light that is within you. So never be afraid to share your light with others. Stay connected with myself and our business at Smart Jewelz Enterprises and King Jewelz Speaks on IG and also on Facebook. And we look forward to seeing y'all again next week. Shout out to our Wisdom and Twitter Space listeners listening in, and track with us throughout the rest of this season, you all. I'll see y'all when we go live next time. Until the next time we meet again, peace.